Freedom Convoy made it near impossible to live. Zexi Li tells trial. Trial of convoy leaders Tamara, Lich, and Barber enters 17th day. So I think it's on its 20th day today, which is, when you think about it, 5 days of hearings a week, so it's been a month of full hearings. Did you know it was almost impossible to live? Did you know that a city of Ottawa, what's that, in the greater Ottawa area, 1 million people? Did you know they almost all died from the honking? Did you know that? I wouldn't have known that without this expert, Zexi Lee, who happens to be a government bureaucrat. Shocker. Here, let me read a little bit of it. The young public servant thrust into the spotlight when she agreed to become the lead plaintiff in a multi-million-dollar proposed class action against Freedom Convoy organizers is testifying in the criminal trial of 2 of them, Tamara Lich and Barber. Zexi Lee's testimony, blah, blah, blah. Shadowed by court security, she said from the witness box it was near impossible to get by during the protest and difficult to live as a human being, describing the horns as constant, like the horn honking. It's amazing that she managed this, so thank God she's alive. She said the horns blared most commonly between 7 a.m. and 11 p.m., and sometimes there were occasional blasts of horns throughout the night. She also described a very loud noise that was reminiscent of an air raid horn. Lee is one of the local witnesses called by Crown lawyers, along with business owners and other residents, to illustrate the scope, nature, and consequences of the protest and rebut any suggestion it was peaceful. Let me just, spoiler alert here, Zexi Lee has never met, interacted with, observed, talked with Tamara Lich at all, knows nothing about her. She just really was irritated by the horn honking. Oh, and sorry, almost forgot to mention, she's suing Tamara Lich and the other truckers for millions of dollars, so she has a very keen interest in besmirching them because there's money around. Oh, and she's a government bureaucrat, so she wants to please her boss, Justin Trudeau. After a court injunction was successfully granted against the honking, Lee said the horns continued to blare, though they were less common, along with some scheduled honking as the noise permeated my existence. Wow. The honking happened so consistently that even when it wasn't happening, I could expect it to happen at any other time. Cuckoo, cuckoo. This is my favorite line in the CBC's reporting. Lee, wearing a white V-neck t-shirt with matching wide-leg dress pants, said during the following weeks of protests there would be scheduled honking. I just love the CBC writing that. Boy, there were a lot of liberals who hated his description of what she was wearing. Okay, so that's what she said, as Michael Scott would say. But and you may remember Zexi Lee, I certainly do. She was one of the first witnesses at the Liberal inquiry into the use of the Emergencies Act. So she testified in front of a Liberal-appointed judge with some Trudeau lawyers a year ago, if you remember, or not quite a year ago. But the public inquiry run by the Liberal appointee had really loosey-goosey rules of evidence. Hearsay was allowed. There was extremely limited time. There really wasn't any cross-examination. So it's a little bit different in a criminal trial because the criminal defendant has some actual rights. And so for the first time, Zexi Lee has to answer some tough questions. Yeah, I see you found a clip of her at the Public Order Inquiry Commission. That's the name of the Liberal-appointed judge reviewing the Emergencies Act. Just play just a little bit of that, just so people can remember what Zexi Lee was like when she was given softballs in front of the Liberal inquiry. Just play a minute, just for reference.
So would you say that you felt unsafe walking the streets?
I didn't feel safe. But it's hard to describe it as unsafe at the same time because I was actively being so cognizant of my surroundings. And I'm fast. I can move very fast. So, I was always ready to, take myself out of a situation where something might happen. And like a lot of the times when they're bouncing their trucks and their cars and I don't know how to describe it other than like roaring at us, like roaring at me with like these large giant vehicles. You know, the idea was to move quick and get where you needed to go. And you know, that was the intention. And that's what you really had to do, I think, to stay safe. Because when you didn't take your time, they would always get to you, like maybe not in the sense that you're thinking, but they would try and come up to you and convince you that they were doing the right thing. And they would say to me, on more than one occasion, I would try and plead with them because, you know, there's a certain desperation in being left in the kind of situation where the people that are supposed to help you weren't helping you. And it was just ongoing for really it was going to be an unknown period of time because really every day I woke up and I hoped that it was over and it never was. Sorry, I lost my train of thought a little there.
That's okay. Ms. Delaronde, would you say that you felt unsafe walking the streets?
Thanks very much. You know, imagine 20 days of that. And I went out and they were roaring at me. And I didn't feel safe, but I didn't feel unsafe. And I tried to talk to them, and they tried to talk to me. And I'm really fast, and the people who were supposed to help me didn't help me. And just imagine 20 days of that in a criminal trial where none of the witnesses so far have ever met, spoken with, emailed, talked to, phone called the criminal suspect, Tamara Lich. So let me read one of my favorite parts in this CBC story, and I don't say that a lot. Let me go back to the CBC story. During cross-examination, Lee told Lich's lawyer, Lawrence Greenspan, she heard honking specifically on February 7th. And then again on either February 17th and 18th. Okay, so she heard honking on the 7th, and then 10 days or 11 days later, she heard some honking. I hope she's okay. I hope she's okay. She looked pretty jokey and in good spirits there at the public order inquiry. So she heard some honking on February 7th and then again on February 17th. Now, I used to live in Ottawa. I worked in Ottawa for a while. I lived in a wonderful neighborhood downtown called the Byward Market. I lived above a pub. And I knew that when I moved in. And it was a while ago. I can't remember when bars closed in Ottawa back then. I think it was like 1 a.m. or maybe midnight. And so every night at midnight or 1 a.m., if I was sleeping, I was woken up because the pub emptied out on the street, and I was like one story above the pub. And sometimes there were emergency vehicles. And you know what that's called? That's called living downtown in a big city. Not that big, but... So she heard honking on the 7th and then again on the 17th. Whew! I'm glad she almost didn't live. Let me read some more here, because my point in telling you this is, unlike that Kumbaya liberal judge-led hearing, there's a real lawyer cross-examining now, and like I say, nothing turns on this. None of these people met Tamara Lich. None of them have anything to say about whether she's guilty or not. But the fact, and a lot of them have special interests, like this Zexi Li is trying to get rich by suing the truckers. But this is the first time she's ever been held to account. And let me work through this a little bit. I'm going to take a few more minutes here. I know it's after 2 o'clock, but I'm getting to my point. During cross-examination, she said she heard honking on the 7th and then again on the 17th and 18th. That sounds pretty traumatic. She said she couldn't speak to the duration or specific dates of when she heard honking, an air raid siren, megaphones, a roaming horn, or fireworks. She's pretty sure she heard that, she didn't bother taking notes or anything, and just trust her when she said she heard an air raid siren. The injunction granted on her behalf sought only to stop the honking for an initial period of 10 days, allowing for peaceful, lawful, and safe protests to be permitted so long as the injunction wasn't violated. The injunction was extended beyond the original 10-day period after the original order expired with the same terms in place. Scroll down a little bit longer, a little bit longer. A little bit longer. Okay, Lee described feeling intimidated by an encounter with a trucker who shook his fist and honked his horn, and described protesters establishing structures to become more entrenched, like the bouncy castles. Oh, look at this. As the Freedom Convoy continued, including a makeshift soup kitchen. Well, that's terrifying. I'm glad she survived that. I'm almost at my point here, guys. By the third week after the injunction had been granted against honking, she said protesters became hostile when she was taking pictures. She described calling police after a truck backed into her. Oh my God. Okay, I take back everything I've said. It's one thing to be honked at, and you heard her say she had chats with people, but did you hear that? A truck backed into her. Okay, that's not messing around, you guys. First of all, we know trucks are evil. They have horns. But no joking, a truck back into you, I presume she means on purpose. That's assault with a weapon. That's aggravated assault. You should go to prison if you try and run over someone with a truck, you should go to prison. Okay, I take back everything I said. She almost did die. She described calling police after a truck backed into her. Okay, scroll down a little bit. Under cross-examination, she said the truck didn't make contact with her, only because I moved out of the way. Okay, so the truck didn't back into her. Okay, that's a relief. Because she had always said the truck backed into her. Now it didn't. She said she believed police filed a report, but no further action was taken as a result of the incident. She believed she did, or she did, or she didn't, or she just talked about it on Twitter. Lee also described convoy vehicles slowing down ambulances that had been responding to a call and roads that were completely blocked off, but she couldn't remember specifics. Oh, okay. Now, I happen to know for a fact because I was there in trial and I heard the city bureaucrat say that the city worked with the truckers to ensure there was an emergency lane open on all the streets, including Wellington. So I heard with my own ears, under oath, the city saying, no, we kept them open. But Zexi Lee said, no, they were completely blocked off, but she couldn't remember specifics. I'll keep reading. She also said she couldn't take the bus because routes were relocated. And the smell was almost inescapable. At one point during her testimony, she was cautioned to stop using the word occupation because the trial is using protest or demonstration to describe the events of the convoy, and occupation has a different legal definition. Justice Heather McVeigh Perkins told court the language could impact the credibility of Lee's testimony. You don't say. So the fact that someone's suing the truckers for millions of dollars and calls it an occupation, maybe her credibility is in question, but I'm getting to it. Here's the part. I've taken 10 minutes to get here, but here's what I was waiting for, folks. And I note I'm quoting from the CBC, so everything here is worse than it sounds. This is the best foot forward for Zexi Lee. Courthouse tensions. The latter portion of Monday's proceeding was highlighted by Greenspan asking Lee about conversations she had after exiting the witness box. Let me just tell you a little something. When you're giving testimony in court, when you're a witness, no one's allowed to talk with you about your testimony until it's all over. Not even your own lawyer. It's an important rule because if you're saying insane things, and everyone knows it except for you, it's important for the court that you're not coached on what to say. You got to answer truthfully. And you saw how goofy Zexi Lee is when she's uncoached. And you can sort of see that Greenspan is asking her basic questions, and everything she says is either a fib, an exaggeration, a lie. I was run over. Okay, I wasn't run over, but I might have been if I didn't move. Okay, the honking was constant, except for, I guess, 10 days when it wasn't. Yeah, there was these air raid sirens. I don't remember anything about when, where, or who, but I'm serious, guys.
Hey folks, that was a clip from the daily live stream I co-host it Monday to Thursday from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Alberta team takes over on Friday. Please tune in. And by the way, we want to hear your 2 cents worth. If you're able to make a minimal $5 donation, we will read your chat on the air live. Thank you.
Do you want to start feeling like your pre-COVID self again? You're not alone. The wellness company's Spike Support Formula is an all-natural supplement to help people do just that. It was created by cardiologist Peter McCullough and his expert team of doctors to help the people experiencing effects from COVID and the you-know-what.
Go to twc.health/rebel today.